So I've been doing the work on my own for a few years. And the thing that I'm struggling with is um, acting on instinct, instinctive thoughts or feelings that you have. And, as a woman, I'm sure you've heard that women are often taught to explain away your own instincts about things to our detriment sometimes. And so I don't have any specific instance in mind, but I was thinking about Byron Katie's story about when she was confronted with a guy pointing a gun at her. And so, we've all been in situations where someone seems a little questionable. And so I'm interested in hearing, like, how do you, I don't want to question myself too much and explain away reasonable, valid instincts that I might have. Or, it's happened before where I feel guilty because I'm having a negative thought about someone. Not even that they're dangerous, just a negative thought. And then I talk to someone, like a colleague, and they'll say, yep, that person is kind of difficult. Um, I'm not sure if that's specific enough as a question. Do you have any thoughts or comments?
Yeah, I think so. It's a good question. Yeah, the way I see the work is it's a way of getting in touch with myself more and more. And uh, even the four questions and turnarounds are just pointing me back to myself. And so just because I'm exploring all different angles with the turnarounds doesn't mean that I'm using that to override my own intuition, my own intelligence, my own um, way of seeing things. And so I like to think of the work as a help for bringing me back to myself, but it's going to also challenge me to think outside of the box of what I normally think. So it's kind of an interesting, it's a little bit of a balancing act there where I want to consider everything, keep as open a mind as possible, but also not fool myself either, right? If I just think everything I think is not true, then I can end up convincing myself to do things that don't feel correct to me. Or I could, as you say, explain away my own instincts or my own reasonable observations. And for me, there's a big difference between an observation and a stressful interpretation of something. And so the key difference is in the experience of stress. If I'm not feeling stress, I may just notice that somebody is kind of mean or something, right? Or they're kind of just, I don't really resonate. I don't think I'd like to spend time with that person. So great. That's just an observation, and I can simply not go there. And that's intelligent, and it's I don't see that in conflict with the work. However, I might do the work if I notice there's a little stress about it. Like that person's mean and oh, that really bothers me. Okay. There's something inside that's getting bothered by me by that. That's some story inside of here that's more than just the observation. And when I question that, I may start to see, like, I may have a softer view on that person, right? But I'm not, doesn't mean that I'm going to go hang out with them. I'm just, I'm just questioning anything that's stressful that is putting me uh, in a less rational place. It's putting me in a more irrational place. So yes, I believe in listening to my instincts. I believe in intuition. I believe in paying attention to my feelings, my gut feelings. I believe in observing and paying attention to what I notice. I trust certain aspects of myself to be reliable in gathering information. I've learned over the years what I can trust and what I can't trust. What I can trust for me involves certain direct experience, certain observations, certain logical conclusions that seem objective to me. Although nothing's objective, they lean in that direction of being reliable. What I don't trust is when I start getting stressed about something, and then I'm overreacting in a certain way, or I'm becoming too black and white about it. Then the work is going to come in there because the stress is going to tell me go do the work. So I'll look at that and I'll reduce the story, but I'll kind of, the work helps me reduce the story, and what I'm left with is just the observation again. So now I'm back to myself. If I take the work too far, I can reduce even my observations to negative direction, where like I'm now no longer, I've flipped to the other side, and like now I don't even trust myself. That's not really what the work is set up to do. You can misuse it that way, but the actual work is just saying, where's the balance point for you? And where's the truth lying for you? It's always asking, what do you think? What is your experience? And even though it brings a turnaround when doing the work, don't think that the turnaround is the truth. Never. No. The turnaround is not the truth any more than the original statement was the truth. But somewhere in the middle, the interaction here, you'll find your truth. And it may be different for you and it may be different for someone else. And and you'll notice it because there's a peace in it. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that little point of peace. It's elusive because if you swing too far one way or the other, you get into imbalance and it doesn't feel peaceful. So yes, trusting your instincts is something I actually experience as growing with the ongoing practice of the work, because I'm getting better at filtering out what is actually an instinct, or what is actually an observation, and what is a story that is maybe exaggerated, or mirroring some kind of misunderstanding or little neurosis inside of myself, right? Because those are the things that get in the way of actually observing in an objective way. When I'm involved and I'm taking it personally, it's really hard to be objective. So the work's really great at taking out that thing that made it feel personal. Like it makes it, it brings it, it questions that part. And then if you hold it in a balanced way, you can be left with just a simple observation. Oh yeah, he is kind of mean, but no big deal. I'm not a victim of that. It's just, yeah, it's kind of mean, and I'll probably not engage too much with him. But if I do, I'm not going to be too surprised if he says something mean, and say la vie, right? So that's how I see the work, and how I use it in relation to instincts and intuitions. So anyway, if you have any, does that make sense, or do you have anything else that that lands
Yes.
for you, or any questions about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Todd, that's very helpful. Thank you. And I guess as you were speaking, I realized, I think that's been true for me as well, that the instinctive responses seem more true, since they're not clouded by the overreactions and so forth. But just more recently, I've been having this, I don't know, almost a little bit of a hang up of, oh no, what if I'm explaining away my instinct? But actually, I don't think that is happening. So thank you. That's very clear.
You'll notice it if it does. Like if you are actually explaining away your instincts, you'll feel like something doesn't feel quite right. You'll notice it. That instinct is deeper than the explaining away. So the explaining away can never really touch that. And so just trust yourself. Like, oh, I am explaining, trying to explain away a little too much here. Let me back off a little bit and look for my actual truth. And that's the bottom line. That's what self-inquiry means. I'm asking myself, what do you think? And a lot of our clouded, um, like sometimes it's confusing. Like I have an instinct, but it's kind of a clouded instinct because I've bought into someone else's prejudice, or I've bought into some other fear, or I've bought into something that's making me exaggerate the situation. And when I do the work, I kind of cut through some of that. But then I may still be left with, yeah, but I actually still prefer not to do such and such, or be with such and such, or that kind of thing. So yeah, when you see it this way, at least for me, it's a very free way of doing the work, and I'm not being told what to do by the work. No, never. I'm just using the work to look around and see what I actually feel.